our channel, and thank you for logging on. Today, as we continue our journey through the current Grand Seiko catalog, we discuss the Grand Seiko Automatic GMT 3-day SBGM221 from the Elegance collection. This timepiece, classically proportioned, sized, and styled, 39.5 millimeters, and as we withdraw slightly from a close focus, you can see that the watch on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, perfectly sized, traditional but not small. It's a watch that's graceful but not petite. A perfect balance of color, finish, proportion, and details. It's designed to evoke the Grand Seiko pioneering timepieces of the early to mid 1960s, and it does this effectively. 14 millimeters thick, you can see that with a generously sloped conical bezel as well as a domed profile about its box section sapphire, it will easily slip underneath a cuff. Now, lug-to-lug, it's a compact watch at 46.9 millimeters, making it viable on smaller wrists while still having the presence and stance to hold its own against a tree trunk forearm. For those who do wish to accessorize, 19 millimeters is the spacing between the lugs, and you can see that there are strap tool apertures for easy swapping, but the OEM strap is a fantastic piece. Large rectangular scale alligator leather, medium brown, monotone stitch, and a folded edge, calfskin on the underside. And you can see this is a Grand Seiko strap, like almost everything else in the watch, built by Grand Seiko and its suppliers in Japan. The deployant clasp, a handsome piece, all of high polish internally, with a strap guide that is integral and crafted out of steel to match the case and the clasp. Grand Seiko vintage style logo with a rusticated background on the buckle itself. Attention to detail is a strong suit of this model. You'll also note that the twin triggers allow the clasp to stay closed resolutely until positively disengaged for absolute security on the wrist. The clasp is handsome, but the case is more so. This is Grand Seiko's fabled tin plate Zaratsu manual polishing, executed by artisanal eye-hand coordination, experience, pressure that is the product of having performed the art repeatedly rather than any scientific process or mechanized process. It's remarkably even and surgical in its execution, even as it is warm, humane, and accessible in a craft sense. The separation of lugs and case, emblematic of 1960s Grand Seiko watch design back before the two were more integrated, and the timepiece almost all of dial with a glorious gloss lacquer ivory or cream dial color. This is a timepiece that features a minimal silver bezel that melts away like a silver halo, with the dial taking pride of place at center. You will note dial furniture and hands on a Grand Seiko, among the finest in the industry, comparable to anything in Germany and Switzerland. A combination of facets and curves, satin and polish, sharply executed by hand finishing it against diamond tools and then located by hand. The hands at center, a different hand rather than the manual type, executed in Dauphine fashion with black polish on their top and faceted edges in blade-like form along the periphery of the hands themselves, with a blued, that is heat-blued, steel hand for the GMT indication. You will note that you can set the local hour separately from the 24-hour indication, and you can even do so without interrupting the 24-hour minutes and seconds and jumping the date forward or backwards as you cross the international date line while traveling. Now, of course, you can pull the crown out, hack or stop the seconds hand, and now move everything in sync and even synchronize the watch precisely to a reference time to the second. Turn it all over, and you can see that the watch features the Grand Seiko manufacturer caliber 9S66 automatic 3-day power reserve that is 72 hours, beating away at 28,800 vibrations per hour, 8 beats per second, or 4 hertz. Water resistant thanks to the case construction to 30 meters. You can see that everything from the shock protection to the stones to the lubricants used on the stones created in-house by Grand Seiko. And this 35 joule mechanical movement, watchmaker assembled, watchmaker regulated, and that in 6 positions rather than the Swiss chronometer standard of 5. So Grand Seiko going above and beyond the industry standards, delivering a watch that is both artistically and technically superior, appealing to both left and right side brain. The timepiece, classically proportioned, beautifully detailed, and yet modern in its tech spec, can be seen along with the entire Grand Seiko collection on our website, govbergwatches.com.